I'm tired of being handed a turd in a bag and told it's hot lunch. It's not happening anymore. We have put the foot down.
There are 35 Senate races in the 2018 midterms, with Republicans defending just 9 of those, and the left side of the aisle trying to keep the rest of the seats. Those numbers make it hard to imagine any kind of blue wave happening in the upper chamber. Even worse for Dems, 10 are running for re-election in states President Trump won in 2016.
Sorry to keep you waiting, complicated business.
And they have to walk the tightrope of turning out a very hyped up and passionate progressive electorate without losing those middle-of-the-road voters who are sometimes even moderate Republicans. That walk has become more difficult as the political divide between voters becomes even more stark.
And we've seen across the country, whereas the rural areas in the middle of the country have kind of shifted towards Republicans.
The Senate races in West Virginia and Missouri really illustrate just how precarious the balance is for red state Democrats. Joe Manchin has held his seat in West Virginia since 2010 after winning a special election.
This is what I'm fighting. A strong military, securing our borders, and the Second Amendment always.
And now he's facing Patrick Morrisey, the current Attorney General of West Virginia.
Liberal Joe's gotta go. Amen, brothers.
Manchin is seen as the most conservative Democrat in the Senate, voting with President Trump more than 60% of the time, sometimes being the only Democrat to cross the aisle. That's pretty in line with West Virginia voters, since the president won West Virginia by more than 42% over Hillary Clinton in 2016. Manchin has a pretty good chance of winning his race this year, but it hasn't come without serious and intense opposition from West Virginia progressives. Yes, I said progressives.
Kavanaugh has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. Kavanaugh has got to go.
Who have been trying to move the party and him more to the left. We're in Charleston, West Virginia to meet up with some progressive activists and talk to them about whether or not there's room in the party for more moderate people like Joe Manchin of West Virginia or Claire McCaskill of Missouri. So what's going on here? Because something seems to be percolating.
I mean, I think what's happening comes from what's inside West Virginians, and that's that we take care of each other. People had to band together to exist, to get by, and that is leftist politics. It's taking care of each other. It's working together to build a better community.
West Virginia is leftist without realizing it in a lot of ways.
What's wrong with the Democratic Party? I know we don't have 18 hours to go, and I feel like you have Joe Manchin.
Yeah, I mean, do either of you disagree with that?
I don't know that I would put the blames solely on Joe Manchin, but I think the Democratic Party in general has not gotten clear on what it is that they stand for. I think both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have been bought and sold. And I feel that what we've lacked in doing as a Democratic Party is getting people elected into office that actually are clear and connected to the issues that most West Virginians are facing.
I would rather have 6 years of somebody that I absolutely abhor than have another 30 years of Manchin running this state into the ground.
I think some people would ask you, why would you even take the chance that these kinds of things can be put into place when you probably agree with Joe Manchin more than you do with Morrisey?
I'm a person who is on Medicaid. My daughter's on Medicaid, and the thought of losing insurance is terrifying. And I mean, we're healthy now, but anything could happen. I'm in public housing. I mean, I'm a low-income single mother, and we need to stop putting people like Joe Manchin in power, but the alternative is terrifying.
We're getting organized. I mean, they might have money, Eugene, but we have people.
Is there room for the Joe Manchin type of Democrat? And maybe not Joe Manchin, but the Claire McCaskills, the Heidi Heitkamps, the Joe Donnellys.
When I think of a moderate Democrat, I think of someone who cares more about moneyed interest than things that help people. And I don't think there's room for that on the left or the right. There shouldn't be room for that anywhere in politics.
The stakes are high. This couldn't be more important.
Senator Claire McCaskill in Missouri seems to have more of an intense Senate race on her hands than Manchin. If you had to describe this Senate race in one sentence, what would it be?
Surprisingly close, difficult to predict, and very negative.
McCaskill first won the seat in 2006 in a reliably red state coupled with a real liberal base that's backing her.
You go to a town hall with Claire McCaskill, in a part of the state that's heavily Republican, she will acknowledge, kind of joyfully, that there maybe aren't that many people in the room who agree with her.
McCaskill is pro-choice, pro-gay marriage, she supports fixing and not repealing Obamacare, and yet she votes with President Trump 46% of the time, and speaks out against the president from time to time. How has she been able to kind of play this political jiu-jitsu that she's been doing?
It's a very delicate balancing act. You'll see her on a lot of things like supporting lower judgeships, not the Supreme Court, but circuit court, district court, and down. These are things that she can do to kind of make sure that the progressive base knows, like, on the big things that really matter, she's going to be there for them, and that helps a lot.
Her 2018 challenger and Missouri Attorney General Josh Hawley, on the other hand, is all in on President Trump.
How about the leadership of President Donald Trump? What do you think?
And he's been highlighting her opposition to Trump and his Supreme Court nominees.
It is very much an opposition to Claire McCaskill style campaign. His essential thesis is Claire McCaskill is out of step with this state.
And that style has seemed to work, at least when it comes to poll numbers. Hawley has turned the race into a toss-up since July. As much as any others, the Missouri and West Virginia races could be clear examples of whether or not red state Democrats can believably sell themselves as moderates who work with the president sometimes and still push back enough to keep progressives coming back to vote for them.